Consuelo Vanderbilt. The first thing you notice is how perfect it looks. The dresses, the jewels, the way every room opens up when she walks in. On the surface, Consuelo Vanderbilt is everything people dream about. Beautiful, rich, untouchable. The kind of girl the world builds stories around. But if you stay just a little longer, if you look past the silk and the diamonds, you start to see it. This isn't a fairy tale. It's a cage. You're standing in New York's highest society, the kind of world where names matter more than people and appearances matter more than truth. And in that world, Consuelo isn't a daughter. She's a plan. Her mother, Alva, doesn't just raise her, she builds her. You can feel it in everything. The way Consuelo stands, too straight. The way she moves, too controlled. The way she speaks, carefully. Always carefully. Because from the beginning, nothing about her life is hers. Not her posture, forced with steel rods along her spine. Not her voice, corrected, punished, controlled. Not even her future, especially not her future. Alva has one goal. Not happiness, not love. Power. And power, in her world, looks like a title, a prince, a duke. Something that takes the Vanderbilt name and forces old money to finally bow to it. And Consuelo? She's the price. You can almost see the moment things could have gone differently. It's small, quick, a boy, a quiet kind of love. Winthrop Rutherford. Not a prince, not a duke, but someone she actually chooses, for once. Something that feels like hers. They meet in secret, move quickly, speak like people who know time is running out. Because it is. He proposes. She says yes. And for a moment, just a moment, it feels like she might escape. But power doesn't let go that easily. Because while she's dreaming about love, her mother is already watching, already calculating, already moving. The letters never reach her. The visits never happen. The chance to run disappears before she even knows it was there. And instead, another man steps into the story. A duke. Charles Spencer Churchill, the Duke of Marlborough. On paper, he's everything her mother wants. Old title, historic name, perfect match. But if you look closer, he's not choosing her either. He's choosing her money. Because behind the title, he's nearly broke. And suddenly, the truth becomes clear. This isn't a marriage, it's a transaction. And Consuelo, she knows it. You can feel it in the way she resists, quietly at first, then harder, then openly. She says no. She pushes back. She finally chooses herself. And for a second, it almost works. Until her mother does something unforgivable. She breaks her. Not with force, not with punishment, with guilt. A sudden illness. A carefully timed collapse. A message delivered just right. You're killing me. And just like that, Consuelo gives in. Not because she wants to, because she can't carry that weight. So she does what she's been trained to do her entire life. She obeys. The wedding is flawless, perfect, grand. And everyone sees exactly what they're supposed to see. A beautiful bride, a powerful union, a fairy tale. But if you look closely, you see her eyes. Red, swollen, crying through the entire thing. Because she knows something no one else in that room is willing to admit. This isn't the beginning of her life. It's the end of her choice. And the worst part? It doesn't even pretend to be love. Because on their honeymoon, before the illusion can even settle, he tells her the truth. He married her for her money. He loves someone else. And the only thing he expects from her is an heir. That's it. And just like that, the fantasy collapses completely. No romance, no partnership, no escape, just a title, and a life she never chose. And you can feel it settle in. Not loud, not dramatic, heavy. Because this is where her story really begins. Not as a duchess, but as a woman trapped inside a life that looks perfect and feels like nothing at all. Right at the moment where the illusion is gone, and she has to decide what kind of woman she's going to be inside a life she never wanted. If you think this ends quietly, it doesn't. Because next, she stops surviving it and starts pushing back. Now the illusion is gone. And once you see the truth like that, you can't unsee it. You wake up in a palace, marble, gold, history pressing in from every wall, a place people would give anything to live in, and it feels empty. Because Consuelo Vanderbilt isn't living a dream, she's performing one. You can feel it in the routine, the dinners, the appearances, the way she moves through rooms like she belongs there, even when she doesn't. Because nothing about this life was chosen. And when something isn't chosen, it starts to crack. Not loudly, not all at once, but slowly. At first, she does what she was trained to do. She plays her role perfectly. She learns the names, the titles, the rules of a world that measures worth in lineage and silence. And the world? It loves her. The public adores her. The aristocracy welcomes her. Everywhere she goes, she becomes exactly what they want her to be. Elegant, graceful, flawless. But behind closed doors, nothing changes. Her husband remains distant, cold, a man who never pretended to love her and never tries to. And after a while, something inside her shifts, because there's only so long you can live inside a lie before you stop trying to fix it and start trying to escape it. Not physically, not yet, but emotionally. You can feel it in the way she begins to pull away, the way she stops expecting anything from him, the way the silence between them becomes comfortable. Because silence doesn't hurt as much as disappointment. And then the first break comes. Not dramatic, not scandalous at first, just human. She finds connection somewhere else, not because she's reckless, not because she's careless, because she's lonely. And loneliness has a way of making people choose things they never thought they would. You see it in the way she begins to reclaim pieces of herself, small at first, almost invisible, a conversation that lingers too long, a glance that means something, a moment where she isn't the Duchess, she's just a woman. And once that door opens, it doesn't close, because now she knows something dangerous. There are parts of her life that still belong to her, even if the rest doesn't. Meanwhile, her husband, he doesn't stop either. Not quietly, not discreetly, openly. Another woman steps into their world, not as a guest, not as a passing presence, as something more permanent. And just like that, Consuelo is no longer even pretending to be the center of her own marriage. She's been replaced. And strangely, it doesn't break her. It frees her. Because now, there's nothing left to protect, no illusion to maintain, no expectation to live up to. So she stops trying. And when she stops trying, she starts living differently. You can feel the shift. Her choices become sharper, less careful, less controlled, not reckless, intentional. Because if her life is already decided for her, then the parts she can control, she will. Even if it looks like defiance, even if it feels like rebellion, even if it shocks the very world that once adored her. Because beneath the titles, beneath the expectations, beneath the life she was forced into, there is still a woman trying to find something real. And now, she's done pretending it doesn't matter. Right at the moment where survival turns into something else, choice. Because next, she doesn't just step outside the rules, she starts breaking them. And the world that built her is not ready for that. Now it stops being quiet. Now it starts to cost something. Because once you begin taking pieces of your life back, the world that built your cage starts to notice. At first, it's subtle. Whispers, glances that last a second too long, conversations that stop when she walks into the room. Because Consuelo Vanderbilt is no longer playing her role perfectly, and people feel it. She still smiles, still shows up, still moves through high society like she belongs there. But something's different now. There's distance, detachment, a kind of quiet defiance that doesn't ask permission anymore. And then she crosses a line, not accidentally, not impulsively, knowingly. Because once you realize the rules were never made for you, breaking them doesn't feel wrong, it feels necessary. She begins to take lovers, not hidden well enough to deny, not subtle enough to ignore, and not random, intentional. There's something almost calculated in it, not just loneliness now, something sharper. Because this isn't just about connection anymore. It's about taking control in the only way she can. You can feel it in the way she chooses, in who she allows close, in how little she cares about appearances now. Because appearances were never real to begin with. And the world notices. The same society that once adored her now watches her differently. Not with admiration, with judgment, shock. Because this isn't what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to endure, to remain graceful, to stay quiet inside a life she didn't choose. But she doesn't, and that makes her dangerous. Meanwhile, her husband, he doesn't react the way people expect. No outrage, no dramatic confrontation, because he doesn't love her, and never did. So instead of stopping her, he allows it, which somehow makes it worse, because now there's no fight, no resistance, just a marriage that exists in name only, while both of them live completely separate lives. You can feel how hollow it becomes. Two people tied together by title, but nothing else. And still, there's one thread she hasn't been able to cut, the past. Because Winthrop comes back into the story, not as a memory, as a possibility, again. You can feel the pull immediately. That old version of her, the one who almost escaped, the one who almost chose love, it's still there, still waiting, still unfinished. And this time, it feels like she might finally take it. He offers her a way out, again, a real one. Leave, run, start over. And for a moment, it feels like everything is lining up the way it should have from the beginning. You can almost see it, the life she could have had, the version of herself that didn't have to break just to survive. So she goes to him, hopeful, open, ready. And then he hesitates. Not because he doesn't care, not because he doesn't want her, but because now it's complicated, too complicated. And just like that, the door closes, again. And this time, it doesn't just hurt, it settles something. Because now she understands something clearly. No one is coming to save her, not love, not time, not second chances. So whatever happens next, she will have to choose it, fully. Even if it means standing alone, even if it means giving up the last version of the life she once wanted. Because this isn't about escape anymore. It's about ownership of her life, her choices, her future. And for the first time, that feels real. Right at the moment where hope disappears and something stronger replaces it. Because next, she doesn't chase love. She walks away from everything that tried to control her and builds something entirely her own. And once hope is gone, something quieter takes its place. Not sadness, not desperation, clarity. Because when you finally understand no one is coming to change your life for you, you stop waiting. And Consuelo Vanderbilt is done waiting. You can feel it in the way she moves now. No more hesitation, no more looking back, just decision. The marriage, it's already over. Not legally, not publicly, but in every way that actually matters. So when the moment comes, she doesn't break. She steps out. The separation shocks everyone, not because it didn't make sense, but because people like her don't do that. Not in that world, not with that name, not with that kind of pressure. She was supposed to endure, to stay, to remain part of the picture, no matter how broken it was behind the scenes. But she doesn't. And suddenly, the perfect Duchess becomes something else, unpredictable, because now she's doing something far more dangerous than rebellion. She's choosing herself. The divorce isn't easy. Of course it isn't. Nothing about this life has been. It drags, years of tension, of expectation, of a world trying to pull her back into place. Because if she walks away, it means something. It means the system failed. It means the perfect story wasn't perfect. And that makes people uncomfortable. But this time, there's no guilt strong enough to stop her, no pressure heavy enough to break her, because she's already lived through worse. And when the moment finally comes, when the papers are signed, when the title no longer defines her, it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels quiet, like something that should have happened a long time ago. Freedom doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it just shows up as silence. And for the first time in her life, that silence belongs to her. And then, she does something no one expected her to do. She doesn't return to the world that built her. She doesn't try to reclaim the image she lost. She builds something new, on her terms, with someone who doesn't need her name, doesn't need her money, doesn't need anything from her, except her. And this time, it's different. Not forced, not arranged, not negotiated, chosen, fully. You can feel it in the way she exists now. Lighter, softer, not because she's weak, because she's finally free. The life she builds after that, it isn't louder, it isn't grander, but it's real. And after everything she's lived through, that matters more than anything. Of course, life doesn't suddenly become perfect. It never does. There's loss. There's grief. Time takes what it always takes. But none of it defines her the way it once might have. Because she is no longer trapped inside someone else's plan. She is living her own. And that's the part people don't always talk about. She didn't just survive a forced life. She walked out of it and built something better. Not because it was easy, but because she finally chose it. So we leave her here. Not as the girl in the perfect dress, not as the Duchess in the gilded cage, but as something far more powerful. A woman who lost everything she was told mattered and discovered what actually did. Because sometimes, the life you were forced into breaking is the only way you ever get to build one that's yours. If this story stayed with you, if you felt that shift from control to choice, don't stop here. There are more women like her. Women who weren't just shaped by their world, they walked away from it. Subscribe and come back for the next chapter. Next time, we step into power again. But this time, it's colder, more calculated, more dangerous in a different way. A woman who didn't escape the system. She mastered it. Stay dangerous, stay loud, and never let them hold the pen.